You're not holding buffer rooms properly. With the introduction of Villa during Parabellum, the map designers started working towards a more competitively viable map build. And what this means is that they decided to start making rooms adjacent to the bomb site in which defenders and attackers can play tug-of-war for power positions. Most reworked maps put these power positions into play. Defenders, your job in these buffer room positions is to waste time, not to really get kills. If you get yourself a pick, good for you, but don't force 1v1s if it's not needed. Make sure you use your utility. Put some barbed wire down. Use your ability in the room. Vault cams, intel's great. But make sure you waste time and you give it up and you fall back to site when you need to do so. Attackers, stop splitting your pushes into two. If you know where the push is and you know what's wall you need to get, drone your team out, push the person out of the room, whether it be a kill or they fall back, have the hard breachers get the wall open. Don't do a separate push from the other side of the map. So we talked about holding buff rooms in order to waste time, but how do you waste time? I have some mechanics to give you. With Wamai and Valkyrie losing their shields, there's not a lot of shields with valuable utility in the defensive lineup. Let's go through what shields there are now. Frost, Warden, Ella, Smoke Echo, Alibi, and don't forget about Goyo. If you take any of those ops, I won't be mad at you. Physical body movements that you can do to waste time as well. Fight in your slice of pie, the sliver that you make in a tight angle. By moving out of your slice of pie, you are overextending. And while you have your slice of pie, throw a few bullets down line. I call this poking and prodding, creating little skirmishes and little battles to make them feel uneasy about pushing you. Make sure you shoot every drone that comes around the shield. Make sure you assert your dominance and show your presence within the buffer rooms behind the shield. Beyond physical movements and poking and prodding with mini skirmishes, you can use your utility. Vigil with his cloaking devices, Legion with Goose, Banshees, from Melusi, even Amira. Let's talk about roaming. As a roamer, you need to work closely with your anchors to find out where the attackers are entering from. Your first priority as a roamer is to entry denial. If you got a call that they're entering from somewhere, don't really go for the kills, just go for time-wasting mechanics. Show your presence and poke and prod. But while you're creating fake battles by showing your presence, also rotate. Don't fight from the same area, continue to rotate. But also your anchors need to find out if there's anybody else coming from other parts of the map to see if they're creating a pinch on you. If you feel like you're being pinched because the attackers are spending their time looking for you, this means that it is the perfect opportunity to waste even more time. Try not to swing for kills in this scenario, but if you get a free pick, so be it. Rotate away and make them forced to look for you. This is when it becomes a little dicey. You don't want to become passive. You still want to keep the aggression going. So coming up from a different area when they least expect it, knowing timing based off calls off of cams, informational ops is perfect. I have a fundamental defensive strategy that you can use basically on any site. It's something I call the circle strat. The circle strat is when the defenders play a giant circle around the bomb site in a refrag potential. Now, what do I mean? I'll show you where I would have people usually sitting for a circle strat. I would have someone playing brown stairs. I would have someone holding white stairs with the rotate hole and the hatch open to fall back into sight. I would have someone holding train, the final person in sight. Now, the idea of the circle strat is to play refrags off each other. If the attacking team is pushing the person on brown, inside of train can come help, and also the person that's also in white can come help. It's basically playing off of refrags. You are also holding buff rooms in doing so. The circle strat needs to be treated like a battle royale. So the circle is as large as it can be, and as the game progresses, it gets smaller and smaller. You give up buffer rooms until you guys are all back in sight, waiting for the attackers to collapse. This can be plugged in basically to any site, and then you guys play refrag off each other in a circle, but once the going gets tough, you fall back into sight and you stop the execute and waste time. I have an oldie but goodie defensive emergency strat that IGLs can call on the fly. Not a lot of people use it anymore, but it's called a retake strat. Do you ever feel like the attacking team is encroaching onto your position and you might get pinched at any second? Call this out in an emergency. Tell them to retake. If there's a bomb site with a hatch that you can leave out of, do so. If there's a bomb site that you can go to an adjacent room, do so. Now, the idea of a retake strat is to allow the attackers to move into the bomb site to look for kills and or to get the plant down, but you're not there and they don't know where you are, so you turn into the attackers and you collapse on site. Currently, one of my favorite retake strats is on maps on Canal. Somebody can go to Red Stairs, someone can go to Museum, and someone can go to Model. I've called this many times on the fly in the past, and we've come back to win the round when we are at the deficit because we were able to go away and come back with more strategic force. All our utility is in sight, that we have the advantage as the defense to then be the attackers to push on site.